Jinger Duggar has been one of the most prominent Duggar siblings. Duggar News followers know that it was a devastating blow for the entire family when Josh Duggar went to prison for CSAM crimes. Since then, the former has given statements about the same and said she was content with the verdict. She has also condoned the ways her family was brought up. Apart from this, Jinger and her husband, Jeremy, have also expressed having strained bonds with the rest of the family members. It was because they realigned their faith and recognized the toxicities behind the IBLP teachings. While talking about the same, Jinger decided to some of the most hard-hitting questions. What did she have to say about this? Jinger and her husband Jeremy are still devout Christians, but they have let go of their past teachings from the non-denominational Christian fundamentalist organization IBLP, that is, Institute in Basic Life Principles. In one of the podcasts, the former addressed legalism. It says that a person can get salvation only by obeying rules instead of being devout. Jeremy was against this idea because he felt legalism distorts God's character. It teaches people that God will only be happy once they follow a certain set of rules. So he called the teaching and the religion rather devilish. Jeremy feels that love is at the heart of every law God has for the people. Many believed it was his way of calling out Jinger Duggar has been a huge advocate for realigning one's faith and not blindly following childhood teachings. She has talked about this aspect of her life through her books too. Duggar News followers have been proud of her for breaking through the IBLP trance. But it did cost her some of her bonds. In a new segment in her podcast, She Got Candid, Jeremy and Jinger decided to do a podcast segment where they wanted to take fan questions and address them. That's when a viewer wanted to know if she was angry at her parents for making the family practice IBLP teachings. Well, she graciously answered this question. She said how following IBLP teachings had guaranteed her parents success for kids, so Jinger was not angry at her parents. She could say it very clearly. After all, her parents had good intentions for the kids. Even if her childhood had many issues, she was not at all resentful about it. Duggar News followers were upset at her mature approach. They were glad to see how Jinger had made sense of the situation and wanted to build towards the strained bonds. So far, Jinger has been making efforts to hang out with her sisters and her mother, Michelle Duggar. She also celebrated her recent birthday with them in Arkansas. However, fans aren't sure if she has made any progress in mending her bond with her father, Jim Bob Duggar. Jinger Duggar, the second oldest daughter of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, is no stranger to the spotlight. Born and raised in a family that embraced the principles of the Institute in Basic Life Principles IBLP, a controversial Christian homeschooling program founded by Bill Gothard, Jinger's life has been a subject of public scrutiny, fascination, and, at times, criticism. The Duggar family's reality television show, 19 Kids and Counting, introduced viewers to their ultra-conservative lifestyle, where strict rules governed every aspect of daily life, from modesty and courtship to music and education. Yet, as Jinger Duggar has evolved and carved out her own path in adulthood, the question remains, does she harbor any resentment or frustration toward her parents for subjecting her to such a rigorous upbringing? Over the years, Jinger has undergone a transformation from a young woman bound by her family's doctrines to someone who embraces a more liberal perspective on faith, marriage, and life choices. But as her public persona evolves, does it mean Jinger feels bitter toward her parents for their role in her childhood? In a recent interview, Jinger candidly shared her thoughts on the matter, providing insight into her current relationship with her parents and how she views the strict IBLP teachings that shaped much of her upbringing. While she has been open about her personal growth and the ways in which she has distanced herself from the teachings of IBLP, Jinger's response to the question of whether or not she feels upset with her parents reveals a nuanced and thoughtful perspective breaking away from IBLP. The Duggar family's association with the IBLP movement has always been controversial, and Jinger was one of the first of her siblings to step out and question the rigid rules that govern their lives. The IBLP promoted a highly structured, authoritarian view of Christianity that placed significant emphasis on obedience to parents, submission to male authority, and a specific modest way of dressing and behaving. Growing up in this environment, Jinger like her siblings, was expected to follow a set of rules that included homeschooling, conservative dress, gender roles, and the prohibition of certain activities, including listening to secular music and engaging in public dating. Courtship, a practice where a couple's relationship is closely monitored by both families, was the only approved method of romantic engagement. The Duggar children were raised with the belief that the IBLP teachings were the only path to true spiritual fulfillment and familial harmony. However, as Jinger got older, she began to explore her beliefs and values outside of the confines of the IBLP teachings. This was especially evident in her marriage to Jeremy Vuolo, a former professional soccer player who shares her desire to live a more liberated life. The couple made the decision to move to Los Angeles, a far cry from the quiet, rural life the Duggars had led in Arkansas, which marked a symbolic break from the past. In a world where freedom of expression and personal choice are highly valued, Jinger and Jeremy have embraced a lifestyle that includes more autonomy, travel, and an openness to different cultures and perspectives. Jinger's candid reflections on her upbringing. Despite her transformation and the gradual departure from the IBLP teachings, Jinger has expressed that she does not view her parents as villains for the way they raised her. Instead, she acknowledges the love and care that they provided during her childhood, and her reflections on the matter are marked by a sense of maturity and understanding. "I know my parents did what they thought was best for us," Jinger shared in the interview. "Their intention was always to protect us and raise us in a way that would lead to spiritual success. I don't fault them for that. They were acting out of love, and I understand that." While Jinger has chosen to live her life in a way that contrasts with the strict parameters of the IBLP teachings, she does not seem to carry resentment toward her parents for their role in her upbringing. In fact, she credits them for instilling values like a strong work ethic, the importance of faith, and the significance of family. Jinger has often spoken about how her parents' commitment to their faith and their family dynamic shaped her, even if she now holds different views on certain aspects of life. "I've learned a lot from my parents, especially when it comes to the importance of family and faith," she added. "I've taken a lot of those lessons with me as I navigate my own life and marriage. I'm grateful for that, reconciliation, and moving forward." Jinger's ability to reconcile her upbringing with her present-day beliefs speaks to her emotional maturity and the strength of her family relationships. While many children of strict, religious backgrounds struggle to sever ties with their past, Jinger has managed to strike a balance between honoring her roots and forging her own path. The Duggar family's approach to parenting and faith may have been demanding, but Jinger is quick to point out that her parents' intentions were always rooted in love and care. While she no longer adheres to the IBLP teachings, she does not feel a need to cast blame on her parents for the way they raised her. Instead, she focuses on how her upbringing has shaped her into the woman she is today. Moreover, Jinger's relationship with her parents remains positive, despite her differences with the values they embraced. As seen in public appearances and social media posts, she continues to share moments with her family, expressing love and appreciation for them. The Duggar family may no longer present the same unified front they once did, but Jinger's narrative is one of growth, understanding, and compassion toward those who raised her, embracing a new identity. As Jinger navigates life outside the constraints of the IBLP and their teachings, she continues to redefine what faith, family, and freedom mean to her. Jinger and Jeremy's life in Los Angeles, along with their commitment to raising their daughter, Felicity, with an emphasis on love and understanding, rather than strict rules, showcases their desire to create a life that is both fulfilling and rooted in their own values. Jinger has also been open about the process of self-discovery, particularly in terms of her faith. She has expressed that she no longer feels confined by the expectations that once shaped her spiritual journey. This newfound freedom allows her to embrace a more personal individual relationship with God, one that is not defined by a rigid set of rules or guidelines. Instead, it's about love, grace, and personal growth. "I'm learning to be more open to different ways of thinking," Jinger revealed. "I don't feel the need to conform to a one-size-fits-all approach to faith. I'm allowed to explore and discover what works best for me and my family." Conclusion: no regrets, just growth. Jinger Duggar's reflections on her upbringing in the IBLP and her relationship with her parents reveal a mature and thoughtful perspective. While she may no longer subscribe to the teachings that once defined her childhood, She does not harbor ill feelings toward her parents. Instead, she recognizes that their intentions were rooted in love, even if their approach to faith and life no longer resonates with her. In embracing a more liberated life and forming her own identity, Jinger has shown that it is possible to honor the past while embracing personal growth and change. Her story is one of healing, understanding, and ultimately freedom to question, explore, and live life on her own terms. Please subscribe for my YouTube channel.